In this video, we are going to talk about the third simple JavaScript data type, and it is called a Boolean. A Boolean. A Boolean is either true or false. So strings are text with quotations around them, numbers are just numbers, and Booleans are either true or false. Let's make an example. So let's say var JavaScript is super cool. And this is going to be either true or false. So let's say true. And you can see that this is true JavaScript because it changed colors. Watch what happens when we put quotation marks around it. It changes colors. So strings are going to be a different color. Every text editor will change the color a little bit differently, but we can see that this is true. And let's console log this out so we can observe it. Console.log, and we'll say JavaScript is super cool. I'm going to use that autocomplete. I'm going to come in here, and I'm going to run this program. I'm going to use node, and look, we get true. And it just prints it out just like true. But Booleans are super useful. They are often used as sort of like a gatekeeper. And let's go back and change this to false. And we can see that it still works. It's still false. And they're used as gatekeepers to say, like, if you're creating an application or a website and you want something to happen under one condition but not under another, you can use Booleans. For example, let's say you have an application and you want your user to log in. You can have a Boolean such as user is logged in. You say, if they're logged in, do this. If they're not, do something else. So when they first come to your page, they're not going to be logged in. So user is logged in is going to be false. And if they are logged in, it'll be true. So let's look at an example of this, and I'm going to use something called a conditional statement. You don't need to worry about the syntax. We're going to talk about this more later. But we use this conditional statement by starting with the keyword if. And then we're going to do a Boolean. So if true or false, do something. So if we say if, and then we give it these parentheses, and if whatever is inside these parentheses is true, then we want it to do something. Then let's console log. Let's say the user is logged in. And then we're going to say else, if this is not true, if this is false, we're going to console log the user is not logged in. I'm getting a little error here. Unusual code. I see I'm just getting this because this is true already. So we can see that if whatever is inside these parentheses are true, it is going to do what is ever inside these first two curly braces. But if it's not, it's going to do what's in this else statement. So let's take a look at this. So if this is true, it's going to console log this. If not, it's going to console log the user is not logged in. So right now, we should get this is false, and the user is logged in. So let's I'm going to comment these out. So let's change this to false, and now it should say the user is not logged in. So that's how a conditional statement works. If this is true, it's going to do whatever is first. If it's not, it's going to do whatever is in this else statement. So let's change this Boolean with the variable user is logged in. So you can say if the user is logged in, do this, else do this other thing. So look, the user is logged in because var user is logged in is true. And that's how Boolean works. They're either true or false. And what we can resolve lots of other things into Booleans. So for example, let's say if 2 is greater than 1, this is going to resolve to a Boolean. So if, and we have these parentheses here, whatever is inside these parentheses, the computer is going to run and simplify it. And since 2 is greater than 1, that's going to become true. So it's going to become a true Boolean. And it's going to console log the user is logged in. It says, look, the user is logged in. Let's clear this out. And what if we say 2 is greater than 12? 2 is not greater than 12, and so this is going to resolve to false. And we'll get the user is not logged in. So Booleans are super useful, very effective, and they're used all over JavaScript, and they're used in programs that you use all the time. And now that we have these 3 simple data types covered, we're able to move on to our complex data types. So let's review. Strings are simply text with quotation marks around them. They are human language, and the computer will process them not as code, but as text that can be put on a screen. Numbers are simply numbers. They can be positive or negative, and they can be decimals. And they do not have quotation marks around them. Lastly, Booleans are either true or false. And they do not require quotation marks. So it can be true or false. True or false. And that's it. It's that simple.